I want to talk a little bit about relaxation at the keyboard and utilizing your elbow movement to have a sense of ease while you're playing. And a lot of this movement happens outward. It's really circular, and your elbows should be free in the sense that it's not really moving in a singular direction. But really the way that our elbows are made is that it's very natural for us to go outward. So with our right hand, it's moving towards the right. And this movement, even though obviously my fingers are pressing down the keys, it's led by the elbows. So everything is really anchored from your torso to your shoulders, then to your elbows, your wrists, then to your, I guess, in some sense, your palms, and then the tips of your fingers. So a lot of times when I'm playing, passages, obviously you're using your fingers, but a lot of times the parts that I'm using the least, and moving the least rather, in terms of distance, is the fingers. A good way to work on this type of movement is to exaggerate it. So if I were to exaggerate it, that was a little too much. So it's almost like it's swinging from the left to the right and coming around almost like a circle. So it's scooping up, back. And I have a lot of the students that I've taught in person to exaggerate this type of movement, because a lot of times, depending on how long you've played the piano, different habits could be formed. So you could be used to just keeping your elbows locked into place and really using more of your fingers rather than your wrists and your elbows. And that's where tension occurs. And if you're playing something like this where unnecessarily you're adding tension in parts of your arm and your wrists and your fingers, you're bound to have less control and also develop tension issues. So even if I were to play this staccato, the ideal way to play it would be to still keep certain parts of my elbow to wrist, that area, very loose. And if I use my elbows as something that's anchoring this, the work that I'm doing to make it staccato happens at the tips of my fingers, but the general motion stays the same, whether I'm playing very staccato or legato. And the way that I could best describe that is a sense of relaxing the tips of your fingers. If I were to add more tension at the very, very, very tips of my fingers, it would create shorter notes, because I'm just really curling at the tip and I'm releasing the contact from the keys right away. Whereas with legato, again, the elbow doesn't change, but I'm more relaxed at the tips and I'm not letting go right away. And these are obvious things, but I think a lot of times it's very, very easy to forget because we're concentrated on actually playing the notes. And as long as the keys are pressed down, that's our priority. Or I think a lot of people tend to think that way, and so do I, but it's very important to remind ourselves to stay relaxed and be aware of which part of our body is anchoring what we're doing. And it's not about the keys. It's really about how we're facilitating our whole torso and our arms so that our fingers are loose and able to change and execute different things. I hope that made sense.